Aren't we lucky to have heard that original recording of two young people kissing in a meadow in Gloucester, 1534. Quite incredible. People still kissed back then. Hello, and welcome back to the final couplet with me, Theo Cowan. I thought I'd start off with an original recording because some people have got in touch with me and said that they missed the original recordings that I used to provide. But obviously these are original recordings and they are hard to come by. I'm having to go to the British Museum and source all these recordings, so it's very time consuming, and often people won't even let me listen to them because they're so rare. But this one I managed to get my hands on, and it's quite amazing, isn't it, to hear that? So lucky you. Now today I'm actually not here. Ooh, I'm in another country. Ooh, I'm on holiday. That's nice, isn't it? So, I mean, I am here, but I'm recording this ahead of time. So, I don't really know why you need to know that, but if anything's happened maybe in the world of Shakespeare in the last week and I don't mention it today, then, like, say they found his the pipe he used to smoke or something, or there's a work that was lost and is now found. So that's probably better than the pipe. Say they found a lost Shakespeare work in the last week, and I'm not talking about it now. That's why, all right? Because I'm not here. I'm technically not here. So good, we've got that covered. Now on to Sonnet 53. We're smashing through them, aren't we? So let's take a listen to Sonnet 53. What is your substance? Whereof are you made, that millions of strange shadows on you tend? Since every one hath every one shade, and you, but one, can every shadow lend. Describe Adonis, and the counterfeit is poorly imitated after you. On Helen's cheek all art of beauty set, and you in Grecian tires are painted new. Speak of the spring, and the foison of the year. The one doth shadow of your beauty show, the other as your bounty doth appear, and you in every blessed shape we know. In all external grace you have some part, but you like none you, for constant heart. Well, Sonnet 53, everyone. He's talking about the seasons again. I like when he talks about the seasons. It seems very classical poetry, doesn't it? To whip out chat of the spring and autumn. That's nice. And he's also talking about how bloody amazing his lover is again. Like we haven't had enough bloody sonnets about that. Endless. I guess recently he hasn't really been saying how incredible his lover is, so this is sort of coming back to Shakespeare's adoration of his lover, rather than sort of saying, oh, it sucks to be so far away from you, I wish I was with you, that sort of thing, rather than like, you're absolutely amazing, you're incredible, I love you loads. So it's nice to have adoring Shakespeare back. Lovely adoring Shakespeare. Now before I waffle on too much, let's dive in and work out what the hell Shakespeare was going on about line by line. So we start with, what is your substance? Whereof are you made, that millions of strange shadows on you tend? And here I think he's essentially asking, what are you made of? This is to his lover, to the recipient of the sonnets, I imagine. What are you made of? That millions of strange shadows on you tend. So what are you made of that there's millions of shadows, that there's millions of reflections of you, there's millions of versions of you? Then he'll expand on what he means by this. Since every one hath every one shade, and you, but one, can every shadow lend. So he's expanding on his initial two lines, which we needed him to expand because it was a bit murky, wasn't it? I didn't quite know what the hell he was on about there. But he's saying everyone in the world has only one image of themselves, right? They've only got one shadow. One image, one shadow. But you, even though you're only one person, you can actually lend to everyone else. You can lend stuff to everyone else. So even though you're one person, you help everyone else's image. You lend to everyone else's image, which is a nice thought. It's those people that make everyone around them better people. And now he continues. Describe Adonis, and the counterfeit is poorly imitated after you. This is a great couple of lines, I think. Here he's saying, if someone were to paint Adonis, and Adonis is, of course, who every man wants to look like, you should know that. I bloody wish I was like Adonis. Anyway, if someone were to paint Adonis, it would look like a bad version of you. So that's how unbelievably attractive you are. On Helen's cheek, all art of beauty set, and you in Grecian tires are painted new. So this is pretty much exactly the same, but now he's using Helen, old Greek Helen as an example, beautiful Helen. And he's saying if someone had a crack at painting Helen, as amazing as they could, as beautifully as possible, again, they'd actually end up with a picture of you, which is a crazy thought. If they go to paint Helen, and then there you are instead of Helen. And he's saying you'd be dressed up in all the Greek outfit as well if they painted you. So someone goes to paint Adonis, it would actually be a worse version of you. Someone goes to paint Helen, it would just look exactly like you when they painted it, all dressed up in your Greek garms. So that is high praise indeed, isn't it? Speak of the spring and foison of the year. The one doth shadow of your beauty show, the other as your bounty doth appear, and you in every blessed shape we know. So here he's saying, how amazing the spring is, right? The spring's great. And then foison, meaning bounty. I think he's talking about the fall here, so it is the season. So how incredible spring and fall is. I don't know what Shakespeare has against summer here and winter, but he's using spring and fall. And he's saying they're great, aren't they? But spring is only a shadow of your beauty, and fall is nowhere near as abundant as you are. So actually they're rubbish. And you're amazing. And then he says, we recognise you, we see you in every blessed thing that we're looking at. Every blessed thing we see you. So if I see a nice, if I go to the bakery, I see a nice croissant, and I think, oh, yeah, my lover's in that. I can see my lover in that. If I look at a nice sunset, there it is. There's my lover. So he's saying everything just sees your lover in. Every good thing, every blessed thing. He's not going to look at some urine on the ground and think of his lover, is he? That's crazy. And now, of course, we're on to, yeah, you guessed it, it's the final couplet. In all external grace you have some part, but you like none you for constant heart. And I gotta say, not one of his finest final couplets. It's a bit clunky again. Sorry to say it. Look, if you love Sonnet 53, I am sorry, but you tell me that but you like none you for constant heart isn't a little bit, maybe go back to the drawing board on that, give it a little rewrite, come back to me. But the meaning of this is, you are part of every beautiful thing in the world, right? But you're not actually like any of them. You're incomparable. You are like nothing else in the faithfulness of your heart. I've got to say, it's slightly strange how he's bringing in constancy, and faithfulness into this last bit, because he hasn't really been talking about that since, but he's saying you are like no one else in how faithful you are, which is, makes me think, well, he hasn't been faithful in the past, this person. In fact, he's been quite the opposite. So I don't know why you're saying that now. Maybe it's like, if I keep saying it, it's like positive affirmation. If I keep saying how faithful you are, then you actually will be faithful. Maybe that's his idea, which is actually a pretty clever thing to do. So well done, Shakespeare. Give yourself a pat on the back from me. So there it is. That is Sonnet 53. It's a nice, gentle one. I mean, it does make me think how absolutely gorgeous his lover is. This man that he keeps talking about, that he's been talking about for the last however many sonnets. I mean, if he makes Adonis look ugly, I mean, he must be gorgeous. I'm trying to think of what modern day person he would look like, but honestly, it doesn't seem like he would look like anyone. He's above everyone, you know, even your Brad Pitts, your George Clooney's. He's above them all. So there's absolutely no wonder why he fell in love with him, is there? Now, I think it's about time we put this to our little story. And if you're joining for the first time, I like to put the sonnets to a continuous story that I've been embarking on since Sonnet 1. And what happened last week is Shakespeare has locked John Donne in a chest, and he's keeping him there because he loves him so much. He's gone a bit mad, and he's trying to keep him safe and make him his in this chest. But John Donne's obviously absolutely pissed off about this. He doesn't love Shakespeare anymore. He just wants out of the chest, which is totally fair enough. And Shakespeare has just read Sonnet 52 to him, which is all about how he's got to keep him locked up, you know, in this safe, and he can only look at him every now and again because he's so special to him. So let's find out what happens next, shall we? Shakespeare finishes reading Sonnet 52 to John Donne, who's locked up in a chest still. John Donne says, I get it, Shakespeare. I get that you love me, you think I'm amazing, and that you've locked me up and you can only look at me every now and again because I'm so precious to you. But here's the truth. I don't love you anymore. I couldn't be clearer about that. And Shakespeare said, but the thing is, I think I can make you love me again. You know, if I keep you long enough in this chest, I think you'll come round to it. You'll come round to the idea. John Donne says, you can keep me in this chest all you want. I will never love you, Shakespeare. This is a crazy idea. And Shakespeare says, I'm going to keep reading you sonnets of mine until you fall in love with me, okay? And John Donne says, it's not going to work, Shakespeare. I don't love you and I never will. Shakespeare slams closed the chest. This has really pissed him off. He drags the chest down into his basement and locks the door. I don't know why he needed to lock the door, because John Donne's already in a locked chest, but I guess it's extra safety. Shakespeare goes upstairs. He thinks to himself, I mean, maybe this isn't the best idea to keep the person you love locked up until they love you. Maybe this isn't going to work. And at that moment, there's a knock at the door. Shakespeare goes to the door and opens it. It's Ben Jonson, his frenemy. Ben Jonson says, Shakespeare, I got all your letters while you're away, and I didn't think that you felt that way about me, but I think I like you too. And Shakespeare said, what the hell are you on about? And Ben Jonson says, yes, your horse delivered me one of your letters, and it was saying how much you love me and how much you miss me, and quite honestly, I didn't think you felt that way about me. Actually, I thought you kind of hated me, but we were just friends because we're both writers. But I understand now. And Shakespeare says, oh, that letter was, yes, meant for you. And Ben Jonson says, yes, I know it was meant for me. It's amazing, isn't it? This connection that we have now. Shakespeare observes Ben Jonson and thinks, you know what? Maybe all along I do like Ben Jonson, and I could give this a go. And then, of course, he remembers that John Donne is down in his basement locked up in a chest. If Ben Jonson found out about that, he would be fuming, and he definitely wouldn't love Shakespeare anymore, that's for sure. And Ben Jonson says, "Can I come in?" And Shakespeare said, no, don't come in yet, not yet, because that's a bit quite forward of you. You know, we're just going to try this out, all right? But please don't come in over the door, over the threshold. Stay where you are, you're not invited. Ben Jonson says, "Okay, no, I understand. You want your distance, you want to take this slowly." And Shakespeare says, "Look, you go home, all right, and I'll write a lovely sonnet for you. How's that?" Ben Jonson says, "Well, I don't really need a sonnet. I just thought we could talk about how much we love each other now and how we could get together." And Shakespeare said, "Well, I'd like to write you a sonnet first, just to sort of explain my feelings for you. I think it's best in sonnet form." Ben Jonson says, "Well, is it? I don't think you need to." And Shakespeare says, "Can you just let me write a sonnet, please? For God's sake. Do you love me or not?" Ben Jonson bows his head and said, Of course, Shakespeare. I'll return home and await your sonnet eagerly." And he kisses his hand and blows the air for Shakespeare. Shakespeare catches the kiss and puts it in his pocket before closing the door. Shakespeare hurriedly runs down into the basement again. And he says, John Donne." John Donne says, "Oh, what is it?" And Shakespeare says, "You won't believe what happened. Ben Jonson arrived and he says that he's been getting my letters while I was away, my love sonnets, and he said he loves me. Can you believe it?" And John Donne says, "Yeah, I can believe it actually, because he came to my door the other day and explained the whole thing, and I was really pleased because I didn't love you anymore, and that would sort of take the heat off me. But now here I am in a chest locked up in your basement." And Shakespeare says, "Yeah, that's an issue really. Look, will you help me write a sonnet to Ben Jonson? And if the sonnet's really good, then I'll maybe let you out. Maybe. I can't make any promises." John Donne says, "Well, why do you need my help? You're very good at sonnets, aren't you?" And Shakespeare says, "Yeah, I am pretty good at them, but I'm sort of drawing a blank with Ben Jonson. I sort of don't really know if I love him that much, and I'm going to need a bit of inspiration." John Donne sighs and says, "Fine, let's write." Cue a montage of Shakespeare frantically scribbling down a sonnet while John Donne recites various bits and bobs to him. It takes them a few hours, but finally Shakespeare holds the sonnet aloft and kisses it and says, "It's perfect, John Donne, it's perfect. I'm going to send it right away." And John Donne says, "Well, can I come out now?" "Well, no, not yet. Let's just see how it's received first, of course. If he doesn't receive it well, I'm definitely not letting you out." Shakespeare runs upstairs and into the street, and he says, "You boy," to a random passerby. He says, "Deliver this for me." And the boy says, "What are you talking about? I'm not a delivery boy." And Shakespeare says, "I'm William Shakespeare. Now deliver this bloody message." And the boy says, "You're who?" And Shakespeare says, "I'm William Shakespeare, literally like the most famous playwright in the world, okay?" And the boy says, "Oh, all right." And Shakespeare grabs him by the lapels. "Deliver this message, or I'll make your life a living hell." And the boy says, "Oh, Jesus, all right, sir, I'll take it. Bloody hell." And the poor boy walks all the way to Ben Jonson's house and delivers Sonnet 52 to him. Ben Jonson says, "Oh, boy, can you read it out loud to me? I think that would be really nice." And the boy says, "Really? Do I have to read it out loud? I was only paid to deliver the message." And Ben Jonson says, "I'll give you a little tip." Finally the boy agrees, pulls out Sonnet 53 from his back pocket and reads, Sonnet 53. What the heck are you made of, that there are millions of strange reflections of you? Every person has only one image, but you, being only one person, can lend something to everyone else's image. If an artist painted Adonis, it would look like a shit version of you. If he painted Helen as beautiful as he could, he would end up with a picture of you wearing Greek clothes. The spring is amazing, and so is full with all its abundance. But they are just a shadow of your beauty. We see you in every blessed thing we know. You are part of every beautiful thing in the world, but you aren't like any of them. You are incomparable in the faithfulness of your heart. So there we have it. Sonnet 53. Shakespeare still has John Donne locked up in his chest in his basement. It's a horrible situation, really. I really feel for John Donne here. But is there going to be a new relationship between Ben Jonson and Shakespeare? You'll have to find out next week. Until then, bye.